Just proud of the boys, proud of my family are here, my kids are here.
Hidden beyond Hampstead's time-worn trees and iron gates, a $13 million stronghold stands, defined not by excess, but by purpose. This isn't your typical footballer's mansion. It's a space built on discipline, calm, and legacy. This is where Harry Kane, England's all-time leading scorer, calls home. But what kind of person creates a retreat like this? Today, we step inside a world where goals aren't just achieved, they're embodied. Long before the luxury homes, the silverware, and the mural in Tottenham that now carries his name, there was a boy in Chingford, mud on his boots, determination in his stride, and everything to prove. Kane wasn't born into a footballing dynasty, nor handed greatness from the start. He grew up in East London, in a humble household just minutes from White Hart Lane. Even then, the ball seemed drawn to him. At Ridgeway Rovers, a local youth side, he was the tireless one, the kid who simply wouldn't stop. But effort alone didn't guarantee a path forward. At just 8 years old, he joined Arsenal, only to be released for lacking athleticism and carrying a bit of extra weight. For many, that would have marked the end. For Kane, it became motivation. He returned to Ridgeway Rovers, moved on to Watford, and eventually earned another shot at Tottenham. Still, progress was anything but smooth. He wasn't the quickest. He didn't stand out physically. Doubts followed him. What he did have, though, was something far less common, an unrelenting drive to get better. He immersed himself in the greats, Teddy Sheringham, David Beckham, Jermaine Defoe, Cristiano Ronaldo, studying their movement, their mindset. Late into the night, he watched clips of Brazilian forwards, absorbing every detail. Then came the loan spells, Leyton Orient, Millwall FC, Norwich City FC, Leicester City FC. 4 teams, 4 kits, 4 hard-earned lessons in resilience. It wasn't glamorous, but it shaped him. At Millwall, his confidence began to grow. At Leicester, he sharpened his competitive edge. By the time he returned to Tottenham Hotspur FC in 2014, he had changed. The raw potential had hardened into something real. When Mauricio Pochettino handed him an opportunity, Kane seized it. Goal after goal, derby after derby. In what felt like an instant, he went from a backup option to one of England's most sought-after strikers. The 2014-15 season became his turning point. 21 league goals, Premier League Young Player of the Season, a fan base reignited. Yet, even then, Kane didn't celebrate like a global star. He carried himself like someone still proving a point, to the streets that raised him, to the doubters who once overlooked him. From there, the achievements stacked up. Golden boots, a UEFA Champions League final, the England national football team captaincy, a World Cup golden boot, and record-breaking feats in Germany, including 100 goals for FC Bayern Munich in just 104 appearances. Through injuries, transfer speculation, and heartbreak along the way, Kane stayed anchored to what mattered: consistency, family, and a quiet conviction that greatness doesn't need noise, it demands work. Because his story isn't built on flashes of brilliance alone. It's a steady, controlled fire, ignited in the parks of Walthamstow and carried all the way to the grand stages of Wembley and Munich. But when the final whistle fades, when the stadium noise dissolves into silence, where does he go? Where does the boy from Chingford rest, raise his family, and finally exhale? Let's step inside and see. In London, his home keeps a low profile. Hidden behind iron gates in one of the city's most exclusive pockets, Harry Kane's residence doesn't demand attention. It invites it quietly. It speaks in softer tones, of discipline, of family, of battles endured and victories earned. This isn't the home of someone chasing recognition. It's the stronghold of someone who's already found what matters. Welcome to Kane's $13 million retreat. A bespoke mansion resting along the green edges of Hampstead Golf Club, where calm isn't an amenity, it's the core. As the gates open and the driveway curves inward, the outside world begins to fall away. Trimmed hedges line the path. A fountain murmurs softly in the background. Even the air feels still, as if the house itself is pausing. From the outside, it carries the presence of modern art, but inside, it breathes. The entrance hall is flooded with daylight from a dramatic skylight above. light cascading down like a quiet spotlight, stretching across stone floors and glass-lined staircases. Every detail feels intentional. Muted tones, refined textures, and a kind of understated elegance that doesn't need to announce itself. This isn't luxury for show, it's legacy, expressed in calm, measured design. Spanning over 16,000 square feet across 4 levels, the home is expansive, but never excessive. It wasn't built to impress, it was built to function, to restore, to live in. At its center is an open-plan living space, soft furnishings arranged with care around a polished marble fireplace. Shelves hold books and personal moments. Family photos sit quietly among them. The space opens outward through floor-to-ceiling glass, revealing a private garden designed not for spectacle, but for stillness. Beyond that, the rolling green of the golf course stretches into the distance, not just a view, but a kind of escape. Further in, the kitchen blends comfort with precision. Dark wood, smooth stone, and professional-grade appliances hint at both discipline and warmth. Nutrition routines alongside slow family mornings. Few homes in London offer what Harry Kane has created here. A full indoor spa complex unfolds beneath the surface, complete with a sleek lap pool finished in blue mosaic alongside a steam room, sauna, and a tranquil relaxation deck. This isn't luxury for its own sake, it's discipline in disguise, recovery, preparation, the quiet engine behind a decade of consistency. Just steps from the pool sits a private gym, designed with the feel of an elite training studio. Sunlight pours in across rubber flooring, jerseys framed along the walls, and equipment that mirrors the standards of a professional club. It's a space built for focus, where every session carries intent. Ascend the sculpted staircase, or glide up via the glass elevator, and the home shifts into something more personal. 6 bedrooms, each crafted as its own suite. But the master stands apart. It's a sanctuary within the sanctuary, wide, open, and softened by warm tones and layered textures. Floor-to-ceiling drapes dim the outside world. A marble ensuite holds a soaking tub beneath a skylight, while the walk-in wardrobe is arranged with the precision of a high-end boutique. His wife, Katie Kane, has her own corner of calm, clean lines, soft palettes, and a quiet sense of refinement woven into every detail. The children's rooms, 4 in total, carry a different energy, light, playful, and full of character. Pastel tones, hand-painted animal murals, and one standout touch, a built-in reading nook shaped like a miniature stadium. Even here, football finds its way into the smallest moments. Downstairs, the entertainment level brings everything together. A private cinema with velvet seating, a games lounge lined with vintage arcade machines and a full-size snooker table, and a cozy media room where the family gathers, whether it's to relive matches, watch films, or simply spend time away from everything else. Outside, the garden becomes something more than just a backdrop. Landscaped with precision, it features a fire pit for colder nights, an outdoor kitchen, and a winding path that leads to a secluded meditation bench. It's said this is where Kane sat the night before his move to FC Bayern Munich, a quiet moment of reflection between chapters. This is where he teaches his children how to pass a ball, where birthdays unfold, where laughter lingers late into the evening, where the noise of the world fades into nothing. Here, far from the stadiums and headlines, he isn't the striker, the captain, or the icon. He's simply Dad. Because this house isn't just where Harry Kane lives, it's where he resets, where he heals, where he reconnects with the version of himself that started it all. Harry Kane has never been one to show off. You won't find him hosting wild parties in Ibiza or flashing diamond watches on the touchline. But don't mistake that restraint for anything less. He is, without question, immensely wealthy. With an estimated net worth of around $40 million, Kane stands among football's most consistently rewarded players, not by chasing headlines or high-profile moves, but by building value through loyalty and performance. His years at Tottenham weren't just a chapter, they were a foundation. Season after season, he built something lasting through bonuses, long-term contracts, and a level of consistency that demanded respect. While others chased spectacle, Kane chose stability. There are no super yachts bearing his name, no towering penthouses in distant skylines. Instead, his impact shows up in quieter places, like community pitches in North London, where young players chase dreams on fields he helped fund, or in hospice centres, where families have met him not through cameras, but through quiet, personal moments of kindness. In an era where many rush to display success, Kane has taken the opposite path. He earned first, then gave, then built a life that doesn't need to announce itself. Because real wealth doesn't shout, it settles. It shows up in discipline, in security, in the values passed down at home. Behind the gates of his Hampstead house, that philosophy continues, carried not just in how he lives, but in how he raises his children. Philanthropy often comes with assumptions, flashy gestures, cameras rolling, headlines that fade as quickly as they appear. But Harry Kane never followed that pattern. He moved differently, quietly, intentionally. It started during a moment when the world had paused. Stadiums sat empty, uncertainty filled the silence, and Kane, already a father, already a national captain, could have stepped back into comfort. Instead, he stepped forward. He made a personal donation of $130,000 to Leyton Orient, not to draw attention, but to transform their shirts into something meaningful. A message of gratitude, not to himself, but to those on the front lines. Soon, 3 badges appeared across those kits. One honoring the National Health Service, another supporting Mind, and a third for Haven House Children's Hospice. That single act became a pattern, quiet, steady, deeply personal. Because for Kane, giving was never about applause. It was about impact, the kind that reaches people long after the moment passes. In 2019, he took on a more formal role as ambassador for Noah's Ark Children's Hospice, a place supporting children with life-limiting conditions. But he didn't just show up for appearances. He stayed, he listened. He sat beside hospital beds, reading stories, offering comfort in ways no camera could capture. Then, in 2022, came the next step, the Harry Kane Foundation. Its purpose was clear: to bring mental health into the open, to help young people speak, cope, and feel understood. Because Kane knows pressure, the weight of expectation, the echo of a missed chance, the long nights before defining moments. And as a father of 4, he understands something even deeper, that many young people carry those struggles quietly, without a voice. So he chose to use his platform not as a spotlight, but as a guide. And if he, a global football icon, could speak up, maybe they could too. That's why the foundation funds not just access to sport, but mental strength coaching, school visits, and community outreach. Harry personally visits schools, not just for a handshake and selfie, but to tell his story. How Arsenal cut him, how coaches doubted him, how he kept showing up. It's these stories of being overlooked, of pushing through doubt, that resonate most with kids who've been told they're not enough. But Harry's impact doesn't stop at supporting youth. It extends into standing up for something bigger. Harry Kane has been an active voice behind the Show Racism the Red Card campaign, taking part in education initiatives and awareness efforts across the UK. He's spoken openly about diversity in football, about inclusion, and about the responsibility the sport carries, from the dressing room all the way to the boardroom. Beyond the pitch, his work reaches into even more sensitive spaces. He's supported organizations focused on youth suicide prevention and quietly contributed to mental health helplines, often without recognition, without announcement. As he once put it, football can be both beautiful and brutal, and if the weight it brings isn't shared, it becomes harder to carry. Coming from him, that message lands differently, not as a slogan, but as lived truth. Because Kane's approach to charity isn't about performance. It isn't polished for attention or built for applause. It's real, grounded, consistent, and deeply human. Personal life. It didn't start under stadium lights or in VIP lounges. Long before the goals, the captain's armband, and the global stage, Harry Kane met a girl named Katie Kane in the corridors of Chingford Foundation School. Just 2 teenagers, figuring out life between classes and crowded hallways. As Harry's journey pulled him across the country, chasing a place in football, Katie remained a constant. Steady, grounded, always there. So when success finally arrived, she wasn't a new chapter. She was part of the entire story. In 2017, he proposed. By 2019, they were married. Today, they share a home filled with life. 4 children, 2 daughters and 2 sons, growing up together under one roof. But away from the roar of the crowd, what does life actually look like? It's quieter than you'd expect. Simpler. Mornings don't begin with cameras, they begin with routine. School runs, spilled cereal, and the rhythm of family life. Harry's often the one walking his kids to the car, dressed down, present, and content in the small moments that don't make headlines. Afternoons bring balance, light recovery sessions, the occasional round of golf, his favorite escape beyond football. Time spent reviewing performance, staying sharp, staying ready. But evenings? They belong entirely to family. Dinners shared around a long table, bedtime stories in softly lit rooms, laughter filling the cinema space. Sometimes it's football on the screen, sometimes cartoons, but always together. What grounds him most isn't the scale of his success, it's the simplicity of how he lives. He avoids alcohol during the season, a choice rooted in discipline. His chef isn't about luxury, but precision, fueling performance. Even his love for golf, played to a high standard, is less about competition and more about mental clarity. And no matter how far the journey takes him, he returns to where it all began, visiting family back in Chingford, staying connected to the place that shaped him. At home, there's another layer of life. 2 Labradors, Brady and Wilson, tearing across the garden, bringing chaos and joy in equal measure. No spotlight, no performance, just family. Because if you measure a person by what they gather over time, Harry Kane doesn't collect status. He collects moments. The quiet ones, the lasting ones. Reading to his children, catching a smile across the kitchen, hearing the words, "Dad, you scored," echo from another room. His name may live on in records, murals, and history, but the version he values most exists away from all of that. The husband, the father, the man who chooses calm over noise. And maybe that's what success really looks like. Not just reaching the dream, but holding on to who you were before it began. You've seen the goals, the gates, the life behind them. But when it all fades, what stays with you? If Harry Kane's quiet strength resonated, there's more ahead. Like, subscribe and stay tuned for the next story.